On this Tuesday night, tackling U.S. tariffs. Canada's first ministers unite to come up with a strategy.
We're only going to accept the best deal for Canada.
Who thinks the Prime Minister is being too soft? Gaza's grave crisis.
We spend our days, our time, just drinking water. There is nothing.
The growing number of Palestinians starving to death, refusing to be silenced.
For the next 10 months, the gloves are off.
The fears critics of U.S. President Trump are being censored. Plus, Ozzy Osbourne was no ordinary man. He was a member of music royalty.
All I want to do is make people smile. But there's so many people out there that think that I'm that devil, you know.
The tributes to the Prince of Darkness.
Global National with Donna Friesen. Reporting tonight, Carolyn Jarvis.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. Trade and tariffs dominated meetings between Canada's premiers and the Prime Minister today. There are just 10 days left for the federal government to reach a deal with U.S. President Donald Trump or potentially face punishing penalties. But as Mackenzie Gray reports, not everyone can agree on the best way forward.
Even political rivals coming together to plan the path forward against U.S. tariffs.
We'll be reinforcing those discussions over the next few days in Washington with the United States. We are looking for the best deal for Canada.
The Prime Minister's update on what the best deal might look like seemed to be a bleak one.
Donald Trump is very, very hard to deal with just because it's so fluid. It's constantly moving with him.
Doug Ford's recipe for success against the Americans hit back with dollar-for-dollar retaliatory tariffs.
The only thing I believe with President Trump and Secretary Lutnick that I've seen, you have to be tough. If you're weak, they will run us over.
Other premiers more cautious.
We have to be conscious of the impact on retaliation on our own economy, because there is one as well.
Individual retaliations from Canadians catching the eye of Donald Trump and his Canadian ambassador, who's taken note of boycotts on travel to the U.S.
It doesn't necessarily send real positive signals in terms of they're treating us well. There are reasons why the president and some of his team refer to Canada as being mean and nasty to deal with.
That recording given to Global News by the BC Premier's office.
If you're a mean and nasty Canadian for standing up for our sovereignty and our economy and our jobs, well, I think most Canadians would be proud to be considered mean and nasty.
Large parts of the Canadian economy hanging in the balance, with Trump's August 1st tariff deadline to slap a 35% duty on all non-free trade goods.
What happens if there's no deal on August 1st?
Oh, well, I mean, we'll see. We're working to get the best deal for Canadians, and that's the focus now.
A deal that premiers don't want rushed.
There is a sense now that we're not going to get a deal at all costs for August 1st, and we've encouraged the Prime Minister to not make a deal at all costs. It's to get the right deal.
Carney also confirmed that as a part of negotiations, he's hoping to strike a deal on softwood lumber, Carolyn, a long-term irritant for both Democrats and Republicans.
Mackenzie Gray in Huntsville, Ontario. Thank you. And a little later on Global National, we'll take a look at how Canada's dairy sector is in the crossfire of trade talks with the U.S. General Motors says U.S. tariffs cost the auto giant $1.1 billion last quarter, cutting profits by more than a third. GM warns the impact will grow in Q3 as steel and aluminum tariffs layer on. It's cutting shifts in Ontario and pausing production in Mexico as it looks to boost U.S. output. The news comes a day after Stellantis announced it expected a $2.7 billion loss in the first 6 months of the year because of Trump's tariffs. President Trump is trying to keep the focus on trade deals, but the Epstein files controversy just won't go away. The Department of Justice now says it's seeking testimony from Epstein's former associate, Ghislaine Maxwell, who's serving a 20-year prison sentence for sex trafficking crimes. Calls are growing louder from Trump's MAGA base to get all of the information released. But as Jackson Prosco explains, those efforts are running into a congressional roadblock.
Thank you very much, everybody.
President Donald Trump just can't escape the questions about sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, his one-time friend, after the Justice Department said it would meet with Ghislaine Maxwell, who was convicted of working with Epstein to traffic underage girls.
I don't really follow that too much. It's sort of a witch hunt, just a continuation of the witch hunt.
Maxwell is currently serving a 20-year prison sentence. Her lawyer confirmed the talks, saying, "We are grateful to President Trump for his commitment to uncovering the truth in this case." But at the White House, Trump tried to change the subject.
The witch hunt that you should be talking about is they caught President Obama absolutely cold.
Asked about Epstein, the president instead lobbed new conspiracy theories about the 2016 investigation into Russian election interference.
It's time to go after people. Obama's been caught directly.
On Capitol Hill, Republicans are looking to change the channel too.
They have nothing else to talk about.
Speaker Mike Johnson, a Trump loyalist, abruptly shut down the House of Representatives until September to block votes on release of the Epstein files.
We protect the innocent, so we cannot be careless in an open release like that. You have to be very careful.
Even members of Trump's own party are pushing back. Republicans on the House Oversight Committee voted to subpoena Maxwell. Others demanded the release of the much-hyped Epstein files, which the administration now claims don't exist.
The president's staff, administration, his own children, his vice president have promised that these files would come out, and now we're being told it's a hoax. It doesn't wash.
Maxwell has good reason to cooperate with Trump's Justice Department. She has already appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court seeking to scrap her conviction. Now she could potentially seek a presidential pardon or a reduced sentence in exchange for her testimony. Carolyn?
Jackson Prosco in Washington, thanks. Residents in a Halifax neighborhood say they're shocked that a rising star in the MAGA movement is set to perform at a nearby Parks Canada site. Christian rocker Sean Foyt is kicking off his Canadian tour tomorrow. And as Mitchell Bailey reports, some people are pushing for it to be unplugged before it even starts.
And the glory of the Lord arises on you, Canada.
Christian rocker and missionary Sean Foyt is scheduled to begin his Canadian tour here at the York Redoubt, a National Historic Site, on Wednesday night. Todd Smith and his family live across the street, saying they left the U.S. to get away from the MAGA movement after President Donald Trump was re-elected. But now, it's followed Smith right to his doorstep.
I can't explain the level of frustration and, I guess, anger that I have that we've moved all the way up here to get rid of it, and it's really literally slapping us in the face across the street.
With recent sovereignty taunts from the U.S. president, many are taking issue with an advocate for Trump performing at a historic Canadian site.
What could revival look like in our day?
Foyt is a rising star in the MAGA movement, known for speaking out against abortion rights and LGBTQ2+ causes.
I kind of see Canada as a place that is opening to everybody. And what's happening across the street is not opening to everybody.
Residents in the surrounding neighborhood want the show canceled, saying a protest will be held outside the concert if it goes ahead.
I protested when I was in my early 20s. I can protest again.
The 230-year-old site is operated by Parks Canada and isn't known for musical events. Global News reached out to Parks Canada to ask why the concert is being held there, but didn't hear back by deadline.
When I first heard about it, I was pretty ticked off. This is a national historic site. It's funded by the taxpayer.
People living in the area say they can't remember a concert ever taking place at York Redoubt.
How did it happen? Who approved it? Did they even check it out? You know, it's kind of unbelievable how they can let someone just not even question it.
The Halifax show is the start of an 11-concert tour across Canada, with performances in Charlottetown, Moncton, and Quebec City scheduled for later this week. Mitchell Bailey, Global News, Halifax.
The United States says it's pulling out of the UN's Educational, Scientific and Cultural Agency again, just 2 years after rejoining under President Biden. The Trump administration says UNESCO no longer serves U.S. interests, accusing it of promoting anti-Israel rhetoric and divisive social agendas. A State Department spokesperson cited Palestine's 2011 admission into UNESCO as a key issue, echoing the same reasons used in past U.S. withdrawals in 1984 and 2017. UNESCO's chief called the move regrettable but expected. The U.S. will exit in December 2026. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres says starvation in Gaza is now knocking on every door and contributing to what he called a horror show. In the past 48 hours alone, the Hamas-run health ministry says at least 33 people have died from malnutrition. Israel claims there is no starvation and has rejected criticism of the aid distribution methods being used. But as Vincent McAviney reports, the disturbing images coming from inside Gaza tell a different story.
While much of Gaza has been turned to rubble over 21 months, Deir al-Balah was left relatively intact. Host to many NGOs' headquarters and warehouses, it's been spared a ground incursion from the IDF until now. Packed with already displaced Palestinians ordered to evacuate once again. There's nowhere to go, and few have the energy to travel far. We don't get any morsels of food, it's non-existent. We spend our days, our time just drinking water, there is nothing. People started losing the ability to walk, losing the ability to move. Their movement is abnormal because of malnutrition, and there is no essential items for food. Starvation is now stalking Gaza. Its remaining hospitals increasingly treating patients like 14-year-old Musab. Severely emaciated, his weight has dropped from 40 kilograms to less than 10, which is about 22 pounds. They try to feed him as he drifts in and out of consciousness. Yesterday we gave him a bowl of soup, the only thing available. Today we can't even get any soup. Nothing is available in the market. Now aid agencies warn that those trying to help are themselves falling victim to the scarcity. Most patients admitted to the hospital recently are not suffering from war injuries but from severe malnutrition. Even some of our medical workers have fainted from lack of food. The situation is grave, but it's not new. It's just the quantity is rising rapidly lately. The UN World Health Organization is reporting some male staff in their Deir al-Balah compound were separated from their families, stripped and interrogated at gunpoint by the IDF. Their wives and children forced to leave them to join the thousands once again seeking safety on increasingly weary feet in Gaza. Vincent McAviney, Global News, London.
Authorities in the U.S. have released preliminary autopsy results for a 9-year-old Montreal girl killed in New York State over the weekend. The report says Melina Fratolin died from asphyxia due to drowning and that she was murdered. Her 45-year-old father, Luciano Fratolin, has been arrested and charged with second-degree murder and concealment of a corpse. He has pleaded not guilty. The pair had been vacationing in the U.S. since July 11th. Police are seeking eyewitness accounts of the vehicle the pair traveled in, releasing several photos of the 2024 gray Toyota Prius. His show has been canceled, but he's not leaving quietly. Coming up, Stephen Colbert's message to Trump. Stephen Colbert returned to the airwaves last night for the first time since CBS announced it was canceling The Late Show. The shocking move was made only 3 days after Colbert slammed CBS's parent company, Paramount Pictures, for agreeing to pay President Trump $16 million in a lawsuit settlement. As Eric Sorensen reports, while the U.S. may champion freedom of speech, Colbert's cancellation is part of a troubling trend of Trump's critics being silenced.
With his show canceled next spring, Stephen Colbert says the gloves are coming off towards President Trump.
I don't care for him.
Laughter for that, but then stronger language.
Go yourself.
That got a roar from his audience. Among those who dropped by in solidarity, talk show rivals Jimmy Fallon and Seth Meyers, plus John Oliver and Jon Stewart. On his own show, Stewart questioned whether the cancellation was for purely financial reasons.
Was this purely financial?
Stewart says liberal institutions are under assault, in some cases caving in. He noted Columbia University changed policies under pressure from Trump. Public broadcasting saw funding slashed by Congress, also to please Trump. Disney, the parent company of ABC, and Paramount, the parent of CBS, have settled lawsuits filed by Trump.
Trump believes he has immunity as long as he remains a petty tyrant, demanding only liberal institutions surrender to his whims.
Trump, who is under intense scrutiny for his relationship with sex offender Jeffrey Epstein after a story in the Wall Street Journal, has kicked the Journal off an upcoming press pool. He posted today, the Wall Street Journal and all other mainstream media liars are on notice. Canadian-American political commentator David Frum wrote recently, "The information landscape is being reshaped, and Trump is abusing the powers of the state to hasten the reshaping in ways favorable to him." Back on Colbert, Canadian actress Sandra Oh weighed in.
I am so sorry and saddened and properly outraged for the cancellation, for what it means, of what it is, where we are in our culture, and what that means for free speech.
Trump must go! Colbert stays!
There is resistance among protesters outside Colbert's theater.
To stand up and to refuse to accept the censorship of voices of dissent.
He's got a year, and hopefully he'll burn Trump to the ground by then.
Colbert hints he's not done yet.
They made one mistake. They left me alive.
Eric Sorensen, Global News, Toronto.
The issue federal politicians don't want to touch. Ahead, why Canada's dairy supply management system is such a sticking point in trade talks. Canada's dairy supply management system is a major sticking point for the U.S. in trade talks between our countries. It's been a bone of contention for decades, but the Trump administration has taken special notice. Prime Minister Mark Carney says any proposed changes are off the table, but critics, including one premier, want a second look at the system. Taria Isri reports.
The dairy industry has a firm grip on federal politics.
Their political influence is so great that no politician wants to fight them.
But U.S. President Donald Trump has picked a fight.
Canada has been ripping us off for years on tariffs for lumber and for dairy products.
So here's an example of being right twice a day as a broken clock.
Trump has repeatedly singled out Canada's dairy supply management system, a system that controls how much milk, cheese, and poultry products are produced, sets prices for consumers, and places high tariffs on imports. Supporters say it stops the U.S. from dumping dairy into Canada.
The Americans, they overproduce milk, and that's in part because the U.S. federal government offers subsidies to their milk producers.
To opponents, it comes at a cost. The conservative-leaning Fraser Institute says Canadian families are paying an extra $450 a year for dairy.
You only have about 10,000 farmers really benefiting from these policies, but you have millions upon millions of Canadians paying higher prices as a result.
Australia had a similar policy, but ditched it almost 3 decades ago.
Approaching $30 billion.
Alberta's premier signaled last week she's open to doing the same.
Maybe as a pathway to a market system, or maybe just because it would stick our finger in the eye of Quebec.
For us in Quebec, there's no question about negotiating the supply management.
The Dairy Farmers of Canada declined Global News' request for an interview.
If we move to Italy, we do Parmigiano Reggiano.
Joe Del Faro distributes cheese to retailers across Canada. He supports supply management, but wants it tweaked.
It'll give Canadians a greater variety of products at a much more competitive price.
A renewed debate with trade talks approaching their expiration date. Taria Isri, Global News, Montreal.
The Canadian Food Inspection Agency is expanding a cheese recall because of possible listeria contamination. Mount Beecher Buffalo medium cheese from Natural Pastures Cheese Company is affected. People are being warned not to eat various sizes sold in BC with the batch number 854179. A recall issued in late June included that same cheese sold in Ontario with the batch number 854263. So far, no illnesses have been reported. He was a trailblazer of heavy metal music. Next, we look back at Ozzy Osbourne's legendary career. One of the most iconic rock stars of all time, Ozzy Osbourne, has died. The lead singer of heavy metal band Black Sabbath passed away this morning at the age of 76, only 3 weeks after performing a farewell concert. As Redmond Shannon reports, Osbourne revolutionized British rock music and had a loyal following, which endured for decades.
The boy who would become the Prince of Darkness was born John Michael Osbourne in 1948.
We were four local guys from Aston in Birmingham who had a go, and we got successful. And that's something that you can't buy.
Ozzy, who had been a petty criminal, and the three other members of Black Sabbath essentially invented a genre of music, heavy metal.
They all had a singular vision. Let's bring horror. Let's bring darkness to music. I don't think you could have grown up in the 1970s without being a Black Sabbath or Ozzy Osbourne fan.
Ozzy became the original example of a reckless rock star, his bandmates eventually throwing him out of Black Sabbath due to his drug and alcohol addictions. But his solo career soon took off and included a notorious moment when he bit the head off a live bat on stage. He claimed he thought it was a toy.
Maybe.
The Osbournes' reality TV show was a window into his chaotic sense of humour. His wife became the catchphrase.
Sharon!
Sharon Osbourne, the woman who managed his life after her father had managed his career. Black Sabbath and Ozzy inspired generations of bands that followed. Adoration on display just 17 days before he died. A who's who of metal and rock gathering for an ailing Ozzy's farewell charity gig as he struggled with the effects of Parkinson's. His final performance of Mama, I'm Coming Home, a surreal and almost macabre prophecy befitting a Prince of Darkness. Redmond Shannon, Global News, London.
And that is Global National for this Tuesday. I'm Carolyn Jarvis. We'll leave you tonight with a little more Ozzy Osbourne as we showcase tonight your Canada. Dorval, Quebec, Quadra Island, BC, and a view of the St. Elias Mountains from Haines Junction, Yukon. Thanks for watching. Hope you'll join us again tomorrow. Have a great night.